What's going on, guys? Doc Danny here. I want to thank you so much for listening to the PT Entrepreneur Podcast. One of the most common questions that I get is, how did you start a practice in a gym? And because of that, I've put together a course called the Gym PT Blueprint, which shows you exactly how to start, run, and grow a successful practice in a gym. If you're a new PT, if you're a new grad, if you're a PT that's just started a practice in the gym, you're not making more than $12,000 a month yet, this course is perfect for you. It'll teach you how to set it up correctly. It'll teach you how to market yourself correctly, how to sell correctly, how to actually build a true business and not just a little side business that maybe doesn't take you anywhere and change you and your family's life long term. So if you're interested in this model of a practice, guys, head to drdannymate.com/products and you can take a look at the Gym PT Blueprint and everything that goes into it at that location. Thanks so much for listening.
So here's the question. How do physical therapists like us, who don't want to see 30 patients a day, who don't want to work home health, and have real student loans, create a career and life for ourselves that we've always dreamed about? This is the question, and this podcast is the answer. My name's Danny Mate, and welcome to the PT Entrepreneur Podcast. What is going on, guys? Doc Danny here with the PT Entrepreneur Podcast, and we're coming at you with a short episode today, something that I think is really valuable in terms of learning lessons from our kids or from kids in general, I guess. I have 2 kids, and I feel like I learn stuff from them all the time. And what I want to talk about is the idea of taking chances and doing things that kind of scare us a little bit. And I know this sounds kind of cliche, and people say, well, if it scares you, it means you have to do it. Well, that's not necessarily true. I'm not going to jump off of a cliff just because it scares me, because I will die, if there's a bunch of rocks below there. So there's a reason for that. There's a reason why we're inherently scared of certain things, and that's okay. That's normal. But when we look at things that we do that don't have a lot of danger associated with them, there's perceived danger in some cases, and entrepreneurship and business is one example of this. Us being able to really drive past that makes all the difference in the world. And yesterday, I took my kids to the gym where my wife goes. And I had trained that morning, and so she wanted to go up there at 8 to her gym to get a CrossFit workout in. So I took my kids up there, and there's a mezzanine level at this gym in Atlanta. It's called CrossFit RX. Really cool level where they basically have gymnastics mats. They have a rock climbing kind of traversing wall. They have a rope. They have some pull-up bars, and it's just a good place for a kid. A great place for a kid, actually. So my son was on the rock climbing wall, and he would climb up a little bit, and then he would kind of get nervous, and he'd come back down. He would do it again. He'd get a little nervous. He'd come back down. And I told him, I said, hey, Jack, if you can get up to that little purple handhold up there, a little purple rock, which was a little bit higher, a good bit higher, I should say, than where he was at, where he kept stopping. I said, I'll give you a super special surprise. And I didn't have anything in my mind at the time, but I want to see if he'd do it, if he was incentivized somewhat, if he would actually do it. So he got all excited, and decided, yeah, I want to do this now. I'm going to get a surprise. Let's do it. So he gets up, he gets close to this little rock and decides, you know what, it's just too high. I'm coming back down. So I give him some time and I said, all right, cool. Well, the surprise is there. If you want it, if you get up there, then we'll go and get it. So I just kind of left him alone about it. And eventually I noticed he started getting back onto the wall and climbing a little bit higher and a little bit higher. And eventually he finally got up to this little purple rock that was probably, 9 or 10 feet off the ground, touches it, yells at me, and lets me know, hey, Daddy, I touched this rock. He was so excited, came back down. He's jumping up and down. He's fist bumping me and just so excited. And all of it was because he overcame something, this perception, this fear associated with this task, right? And, for him, it was a big deal. That's something that he was scared of. He's 5 years old. That probably felt like he was 100 feet in the air. But now the confidence he has associated with that is just so cool. He had no problem getting back up there or climbing a rope even higher than that. And so he pushed past that potential barrier. And for us, in many cases in business, we see fear and threats in relation to doing things on our own, and also what other people think about what you do. I remember this very well. When I wrote my first blog post, I remember being nervous to actually hit submit on the page where it was going to get published, because I had this idea in my head that as soon as I hit submit, thousands of people would read this and they would all leave comments with their opinions of what they thought on the topic. And I can't even remember what the topic was, but I remember being kind of like my heart was kind of racing. I was nervous before submitting this blog post that probably no one ever read. And if they did, they never commented on it, or even if they did, who cares, right? But it's this kind of threat of potential embarrassment, or not looking as intelligent as you might think that you are, whatever it might be, that stops so many people from actually putting themselves out there in front of others and really taking a chance on themselves. Video is even more nerve-wracking for most people. They're cool to type a blog post up, but as soon as you ask them to get on a video and explain something, they turn into a completely different person. Podcast. I've done podcasts with people where all of a sudden, you talk to them in person and they're super chill, and they get on a podcast and all of a sudden they're really, really hard to talk to. And it's this perceived threat. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking to yourself, man, I really want to start to develop my personal brand, and eventually springboard that into my own thing, whether that's digital, brick and mortar, whatever it might be, or maybe just build your own client base within the practice that you're in right now and just start seeing a lot more people that you would really want to work with. Whatever it is, you have to educate others. You have to get in front of people, and you can leverage that really well online. So take this as an opportunity to step out of your comfort zone, do something that maybe makes you a little bit nervous. Climb that rock wall like Jack, touch that purple rock and see how you feel, because that could be the start of a whole new career path for you, a whole new area of expertise. And if you never climb and you never try to touch that rock, then you're always going to be kind of stuck in the same place.